This is the story of a girl who fell in love with a guy who later forgot about her. Will he ever remember her again? Grab your popcorn as I take you on this journey. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you are just joining us. Welcome to another amazing episode of our movie. I assure you, you're going to love this one. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel at the end of the movie. Thank you, and sit tight. The story begins with a young girl named Rose, who sells clothes on the roadside to earn money for her personal needs. After selling for the day, she returned to her compound, where a guy teased her, saying he loved her. This made Rose angry, and she insulted him before walking away. The next morning, Rose's friend came to see her as they were both heading to their lecture. Rose told her friend that she was arrested the previous day for hawking in traffic. She had to use all the money she earned from selling clothes to bail herself out and now had no money to repay the woman she had borrowed clothes from. Her friend consoled her and encouraged her to go take a bath. The following day, Rose was at home washing clothes for people when her friend came again, ready for their lecture. Rose told her she wouldn't be going as she was very busy. Her friend, concerned about how much Rose was stressing herself, asked when she would rest. Rose replied that she needed to work hard to pay her school fees. Her friend left, promising to update her about the lecture when she returned. The next day, Rose started a new job at a canteen. While taking orders from a customer, the man flirted with her, causing her to slap him. Her boss, furious about the incident, slapped Rose and poured water on her. Rose stormed out angrily. A guy who had been observing the scene followed her outside to calm her down, telling her she would look back one day and smile. Rose appreciated his words, and he left. The next day, Rose was coming back from school with her friend when she saw Daniel, the guy who had approached her at the restaurant. They exchanged pleasantries, and Daniel was surprised to learn that Rose was not only in his school, but also in his department, though she was in 100 level. They were happy to meet again, and Daniel left. Later that day, Rose and her friend Grace were struggling with their assignment and decided to give it to Daniel for help. The next morning, they went to school and handed it to him, and he gladly agreed to assist them. That night, Daniel visited Rose at her workplace. They sat down and shared their stories. Rose explained that she was putting herself through school because her parents were late, while Daniel said he was also in a similar situation, though his mother was alive but unwell. They consoled each other, and Rose told him he was a nice guy. Daniel smiled, escorted her home, and promised to see her the next day. The following day, Rose's friend visited her and smelled food in the house. Rose admitted she had cooked for Daniel, not her friend, which surprised her. Her friend decided to take a little food for herself. Later that day, Daniel and Rose went on a movie date and had a great time. At the end of the date, Daniel stared at her and told her he liked her. Feeling uncomfortable, Rose replied that she had a lot of work to do and would see him the next day. She then left, bidding him goodbye. The next day, Daniel visited Rose while she was washing clothes. She was surprised but told him she was busy. Daniel offered to help her with the laundry, which surprised her even more and made her smile. The following day, Rose was upset while discussing her house rent with her friend. Daniel arrived, and her friend excused herself to give them privacy. Having overheard their conversation, Daniel asked Rose how much her rent was. She told him it was 200,000 naira. He promised to find a solution. Rose mentioned she had a customer's hair to braid and left. That night, Daniel and Rose stood outside her gate, talking. Daniel confessed his love for her, and as they were about to kiss, a man interrupted them, making Rose nervous. As Daniel was about to leave, Rose called him back and told him she loved him too, making him the happiest person on earth. He smiled and left. The next night, Daniel escorted Rose home again. They both expressed their feelings for each other, and Daniel was deeply in love, just as Rose was. The following day, Rose noticed that Daniel seemed unhappy. She pressed him to reveal what was wrong. He finally admitted that his mother was unwell and that he needed to leave for home early the next morning. Rose consoled him and wished him goodbye. The next morning, Daniel called Rose and told her his mother had passed away. She felt deeply sorry for him and tried to console him, but he ended the call. He came back the next morning, and everyone gathered to console him. The following day, Daniel told Rose he wanted to drop out of school because he had no money left. Rose encouraged him, reminding him that he could do it and didn't need to drop out. She motivated him, saying that if she could sponsor herself, then he could also find a way. To help him, Rose decided to drop out of school so Daniel could continue, as he was already in his final year. Daniel was shocked when he discovered she had paid his school fees. He held her hands passionately and promised never to forget her. After some months, Daniel graduated but struggled to find a job. Despite his efforts, nothing came through, and he began losing hope. He was also troubled because Rose was the one working and providing for both of them while he lived with her. Rose reassured him that he would find a good job and that patience was key. One morning, Daniel woke up to an email offering him a job, an apartment, and a car. He excitedly showed Rose, who was overjoyed. He told her that he needed to report to Abuja immediately. They hugged in celebration, thrilled that their dreams were coming true. Daniel thanked her for being in his life, looking into her eyes with gratitude and love. The next day, Daniel left for Abuja after bidding Rose a heartfelt goodbye. A few days later, Rose received a call informing her that Daniel had been in a car accident and had passed away. She was devastated by the news and cried bitterly. Months later, Rose managed to move on and found a job as a house help. However, one day, she saw Daniel, who was introduced as her employer's daughter's fiancé. Shocked and overwhelmed, Rose fainted on the spot, leaving everyone surprised. When she woke up, Daniel's fiancé asked if she knew him, but Rose didn't answer and requested to be left alone. Later that day, Rose called her friend and told her everything. Her friend was equally shocked. The next day, while sitting on the sofa, Rose's employer asked what had happened. Rose explained that Daniel looked like someone she used to know, but who had passed away. Her employer was surprised but consoled her. The next morning in the kitchen, Daniel walked in and stared into Rose's eyes as if he recognized her. Suddenly, he snapped out of it and walked away, leaving Rose even more confused. Despite her doubts, she felt a strong connection with him. From that day, Daniel began buying Rose gifts and grew emotionally drawn to her. His fiancée started suspecting something was going on between them. One day, Rose overheard her employer's daughter telling her mother that 2 years ago, Daniel had been in a terrible car accident. His company had taken him to the US for treatment. While he eventually recovered, he lost his memory. Over time, they became close and fell in love. Rose was shocked to hear this. The following morning, Rose's employer called a meeting with everyone present, including Daniel. She asked what was going on between Daniel and Rose. Rose wanted to confess that Daniel had been the love of her life, but her employer's daughter got up, slapped her, and tried to hit her with a plastic object. Daniel stopped her and said the scene felt familiar. Rose reminded him of the incident at the restaurant, and suddenly, memories came flooding back. Daniel shouted, "Rose," and hugged her as tears streamed down her face. She reminded him of their time together, how they met, their school days, and the moments they shared. Daniel remembered everything and explained to his fiancée's mother that he had come a long way with Rose and couldn't leave her now that they had reconnected. His fiancée became angry and tried to hit him, but her mother stopped her and calmed her down, telling her she would find her own man someday. And so, Rose and Daniel reconnected, started over, and lived happily ever after. Thank you for watching this amazing story from my world of movies. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more fascinating and heartwarming stories. See you in the next movie.